have the Ole Miss Rebels at home, 11 a.m. kick. That'll be the earliest we played so far, so we'll have to be ready for that. When you look at Ole Miss offensively, really the thing that stands out to me is their offensive skill. I think at the receiver, I think they're as good as anybody in the league. I think their quarterback is a guy that can really make things happen when things break down. He has a little Johnny Manziel in him as far as being able to create things on his own, and he's a very good athlete. Defensively, Wesley McGriff is our defense coordinator, which is an excellent coach. He was with us last year. Does a super job as far as that goes, and really, I think it'll be a good test for us. I know they had a tough game last week. We are expecting their best. Our guys understand that they are talented, and we've got to be ready to play. And our message has been get better each week. And I think we had a very solid game overall last week, and our challenge has been to continue to get better. And on a side note, one of the all-time Auburn greats, Buddy Davison's going to have his 700 consecutive games. I think that's a really big deal. He's meant a lot to Auburn for a long period of time, really devoted his life to Auburn, so I just kind of wanted to give him a shout-out, and I think that's very impressive as far as that goes. So with him and KJ, we got to be very smart with those guys in practice. We'll see where we're at, as it gets closer to the game. But at the same time, Cam Martin was also, he was banged up going the last game too. We were able to rest him. I think that's good. But I really expect all the guys, to be ready to play. It's just a matter of, how healthy we can get them before the game starts. Yeah, we talked about that at the very first, of the season. That was really one of our goals, to be more balanced. And the last 2 weeks we've done that, and we were able to hit some explosive plays in the past game. Really, we were able to play with tempo too, and I think that's a combination that was really good. That we got to continue to build upon those things. Yeah, I think there's a couple factors. One is, we've had a lot of different lineups up front, and the communication and working together in front of each other is very important. I think you will see that continue to improve now that we've kind of got our lineup set up front. We're planning on having that same lineup this week as we did last week, and I think we'll be able to build upon things up front. I think it looks that way. I mean, there's the offenses. They're so explosive, and everybody's playing with tempo. Everybody's doing spread out stuff, and I think the top defenses are the ones that can handle that. And it looks, as of right now, that just like you said, and I'm very pleased with our defense right now. I think that's is great to have, and I think we can keep building and keep improving.
You talked about Stephen Roberts. It looks like he's a different player.
Yeah, he really does. He's playing with more confidence. I thought last year, especially the second half of last year, he started playing very good. But he's a senior. He's one of those guys that's been there, done that, played multiple games, experienced, and he's very instinctive, and he's playing with a lot of confidence. I think you see that really all across the defense side of the football. I think they're playing with a lot of confidence. They're playing very physical.
Yeah.
Well, it's really just a team defense. Talked about how you're going to replace Carl, how you're going to replace Mon. Well, the message has been as a collective group, and that's what they've done. And it's been somebody new just about every game. But obviously Jeff, when his past situations, is really coming on and playing at a high level. But I think it's just more of a unit. The second year with Coach Steele, understanding his expectations, the scheme, and everything that goes with it, and he's allowing our guys to play fast too. And I think that's important. I think it's all the above, but I think more than anything, it's probably emphasis. That's really what Chip's emphasis has been: more explosive plays. And we've been able to do that the last 2 weeks, and it's really changed everything. So he'll continue to build upon those things. I think you see our wide receivers starting to grow up and have more confidence, and they're getting more opportunities. And the last 2 weeks, they've seized the moment. We just need to continue to build upon those things. Well, each year is different, okay, and each team is different. But a lot of it has to do with a team that is able to improve very few teams around the country are able to improve each week with the execution and getting better at who they are and what they do. And that's really the formula now. With that being said, the injury factor to impact players. You can handle injuries a lot of times, but if it's your impact players, sometimes that causes a little bit of a lull. But it's about getting better each week, and the teams that we've had that have done that, usually at the end are playing very good. Yeah. Well, I think y'all have all seen it. The very first game, he looked like a guy that hadn't played in a long time, which is to be expected, and that's kind of with all the expectations. I tried to lay the groundwork before the season started that we need to let the guy grow a little bit. We need to let him get some experience before we start really, judging him. And he got better. Obviously the second game, that was a very tough experience, for him and everybody. And then the last 3 weeks, you really started to see him kind of get more comfortable and get more of a command of the offense. And so he's been very efficient, and we got to continue that. When we protect him, I think he's got good decision making, and I think he just needs more experience. He's still like a freshman as far as game experience is concerned, and so we got to keep that in mind. But I've been very impressed with him in the last 3 weeks.
Gus, do you see a time when you would have a package from a league on a regular basis?
We'll see where that goes and what Chip wants to do with that. It's been good to get Malik in the game the last 2 weeks, and obviously that one explosive run that he made was really something. And so we'll see where that goes and what Chip wants to do with that. That's really, really high. But we knew he's a very talented quarterback when we recruited him. We knew he could throw it, and then obviously, being with him in the spring and fall camp, he's a guy that can make all the throws, but you got to do it against game situations. Really, sometimes it's tough to complete 82 or 83% on air, but he's been able to do that. And, obviously, he was with our players, and he does know personnel, but some of our guys obviously have improved since last year, and the fact that Chip's calling the plays and we are different in a lot of ways, it's not as like you would think, but he's definitely familiar. I've got a lot of respect for Wesley McGriff. He's an excellent coach. He's an excellent person, and I know he'll have his guys prepared. And I think it's kind of what we talked about earlier, is each week is unique in its own right, especially in our league. You can't take anything for granted, and we talked about that with our players. Our leaders understand that. You can turn on the film, and you can see they're a talented team. They're very scary on offense with the receivers and their quarterback throwing the ball down the field. Defensively, they run to the football, so we've addressed it. And like we talked about, the teams that are there at the end, they find a way to get up each week. And but you can't buy into what last week was, not in this league. And we're expecting their best, and that's our approach. I gave him the opportunity. If he needed to stay home, he needed to. I was very concerned. He wanted to go and be a part. He had surgery that next morning, and last week, he took it a little easier than he had in the past. He still did a good job preparing. And this week you can tell he's got his energy back and all that. But it says a lot about Herb that he wanted to be there at the game, and he did a good job that night too. Herb's a tough guy. Yeah. Coach Fountain recruited him, for 6 months or so, and knew he was a solid punter, a guy that could come in here and compete. And he's just he's been in the competition, but as of late, he's been very consistent, and I thought he did a very good job the other night. I didn't think the moment was too big, and I thought he did a solid job. I think so. I think he's a guy that you see in practice, and he does that kind of stuff every day. And now that he's healthy this year, I think you're really seeing what he can do, and he's playing with a lot of confidence right now. Yeah, I think he got rolled up on that one tackle, on that speed sweep that he almost broke. But he'll practice today.